Okay, where are we at on the motorcycle? So far, what I've got is the seat came in, got it sitting on it. I did mount some handlebars here. They're not the handlebars I'm using, but I went ahead and took my triple tree off and drilled the holes at 3.5 inches, and that way I can build the bars I want to build and bolt them in the same spot. Got my gas cap in. That's got a weld-on steel bung and a aluminum cap, so we'll put that on, and I may order another one. I don't know. We'll see how it looks when it's done. And been working on the rear some. I've got a lot of it welded up and working on getting the alignment right. I'm going to go ahead and make a mount for the transmission next, and Junior brought me over a couple fenders. Of course, this fender will be down. Probably run it something like that, just enough to keep me covered on the back side, and then come down all the way to the lower section of the frame there. So everything else is going good. We've got a front fender that we're going to play with too. And as for the gearing, okay, got to move the transmission back a little bit and up just a little bit to clear my lower frame portion, because the way that I designed the frame, I wanted the loop to be low and the transmission to mount a little higher, which kind of hurt me because I needed it mounted to where the sprocket was center with the bar here. But you know, you can't design stuff and make it a particular way and put stuff where you want it without running into mechanical issues. So that's just the way it is, but not an issue. I mean, we're going to handle that. Now, what I have figured out on gear ratio, if I ran this 1-to-1, which, you know, my primary would be the same size sprocket on the front and the back, which would be 42 is what the back one is, and I now have just sitting on there, as you can see, the 35 or 34 actually. But if I was to run it 1-to-1 and run my 47.2 sprocket I have for the rear, that would put me at 55 miles an hour at 2100 RPM. I'm not too worried about that speed. I don't mind, you know, I don't care if it goes a little bit slower than that. So what I've ended up having to do, I didn't have to do it, but what I ended up doing was instead of going 1-to-1 here, I went with a smaller sprocket. And I hadn't figured out what it's going to be yet. I can always change the rear sprocket to a smaller one, and the smaller I go with the rear, the easier it's going to be to clear my chain too. But for now, we're going to run what we've got, and that's going to, you know, that'll still put me up around 50-55 mile an hour, you know, at a higher RPM. And I'm not, like I said, too worried about that. And you know, this is a lightweight bike. It's not as heavy as what you would actually think it is. So I mean, we're trying to, you know, again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, we're just trying to mix new model and old school, you know, board track racer together, and just basically do anything and everything we feel like doing, and that's about it. You know, I don't have an end goal for, I'm not building a bobber, I'm not building a chopper, you know, I'm just building a bike. You know, I don't have a lot of experience with bikes, so half of them I couldn't tell you what they even are, but I'm just ordering and building what I like. The seat is actually just a solo bobber style seat. It's got springs on the back. It's just sitting there. I will make little mounts to come out for the springs to work, and it'll pivot at the front, at the top, and I think it'll work out really well. It was cheap, and I'm sure it's not. I mean, it's not leather. It's you know, it's small, so it was probably only one Naga killed for that one. Maybe two small ones. Who knows? But anyway, everything's coming along. I've got new chain coming. It should be here today for both chains. And our main goal right now is to get this transmission figured out. So I've done some videos on this, and I'm not even going to post them because you know, it's pretty boring stuff. There's nothing, you know, I didn't do a whole lot besides a little welding and, you know, a little work here and there, mounting handlebars. And I've really tried on these handlebars. I've bent one bar up that I liked, and then, you know, it didn't work out like I wanted it, and I tried setting the other ones on. I can't really find anything that I like yet, and I guess when it when I do, I'll know it, but until then, I just wanted to stick something on it, and that's just what I done, was just stick them on it, and they're not staying, so very temporary, but they are there, and everything feels good. And like I said, I've checked my trail and well, I know what the rake is, but I checked the trail and it's fine. And so we're going to get transmission mounted, and then we're probably going to go from there to making some motor mounts, getting it mounted permanent, and then I can really start rolling along on some of this final stuff. And then once we get all the welding and fabricating done on the frame, then I'll be able to take this thing back apart, paint it, and get it done, and take this thing for a little ride anyway. So I'm going to keep at it, but that's what we've got so far, and we'll keep moving along. Okay, so we're going to make our transmission mount, and here's what we got. 2 slots for the bolts, or we can do 1 long slot, but you can see this step here, and what we're going to do is we're going to step it so it sits down in here, and that will keep this thing from ever shifting left and right. And here's what I'm using. This is actually 5/8. I think it's 5/8. We're going to machine it down, and we'll go ahead and make that into a nice mount for the transmission. Like I said, it'll be able to slide so we can adjust our chain, and then keep it from pivoting side to side. Alright. Okay, we got the transmission put down in our slot just like we want it. Perfect. That'll slide back and forth. Now we've got a door slots for our studs that stick down through. I think that's going to work really well. That way it'll keep its alignment no matter what. Alright. Okay folks, I'm doing my slots now. You can see I went ahead and drilled holes. I'm pretty good at sharpening drill bits. I can't sharpen an end mill, so I'd rather do as much as I can with the drill bit and then go back with the end mill. So we'll go ahead and get this second slot done, and we're ready to clean the rest of this thing up. So, alright, I'll show you more. Okay, I'll see if I can show you a little better what I've got here. It's still a little bit hot, so I gotta be careful. But anyway, you can see it's grooved down. Got our slots. Let me get it flipped upside down here so you can see it. Okay. There's all the way forward. You can see it, don't go past it. And then all the way the other way. It's about a little less than a quarter overhang. So that gives me 2 inches of travel here to be able to adjust it. So shouldn't be any issues there. And it slides nice, it's right in the track. So this will get welded down. Of course, that'll get bolted down. So now it's time to get this all cleaned up so we can start trying to get it in place. So, alright, I'll show you more as I go. Okay, it looks like that's where the transmission is going to be. I'm not real big on the gold chain, but it is what it is. And by the time I get the engine over where it needs to be, because it's probably a quarter or more over this way, that's going to put us close to the edge. So what the plans are is to take this flywheel back off, and we'll turn this lip off, because this was built for a flat belt. But we'll take this lip off. We're going to leave everything else on it. We'll bore this sprocket out to be able to slide over, and wherever we need to cut this groove at, we'll slide it up to it, and then we'll weld it, and that'll take care of that for the primary. And it's going to mount really well. Everything's going to work out good, and it's going to clear everything. It's kind of hard to clear here when we're going down to the bottom of the sprocket, but it's going to make it, because this has got to be cut. And as you see, I've got it a lot wider than what it's supposed to be, and this one's narrow. So we're going to keep at that. Just about got it all welded up. Still got some to do, but we've got the tops welded. I've got to weld the bottom. I mean, there's a lot more to do here, but just slowly poking along at it. And we're going to start making the adapter for the sprocket to get the rear sprocket on, and try to start getting this stuff tied up. Anyway, didn't get a lot done, but you see where we're at. And seat, we'll have to build, like I said, brackets off for this. It's going to pivot up here. The seat's probably going to be up a little farther and a little closer. Gotta get the fenders, where I need it. There's a lot of little stuff to do, but I don't think 4-track racers ran fenders, but of course I need to run a fender, so front and back. And I'll show you the front one that Junior brought me that, like I said, we're not sure where we're going to, you know, how I'm going to do it. But I just got it laying up there. But we can work with it. And, you know, if I decide to, I'll, you know, come up with something else, build a fender or something, I don't know. Definitely changing handlebars. I really didn't get much filming done over the weekend. I did it some, but I didn't do enough to get, you know, any video together for everyone. I was going to do another vlog, but Noah and I, let me see, we started, he didn't get here until a little after 12. He had some things he had to do Saturday, but he got here a little after 12. And we started working about 12:30, and by 6 o'clock we had already put the transmission back in with the new clutch, and they did stand behind the clutch, and to let everyone know, and that's Wheeler Brothers up in Pennsylvania. And let me see, we put the new control valves on, and we put the springs in the back of the GMC top kick. So we done all that in 5.5 hours. And then Sunday, of course, we heater core in one of them, or a heater blower motor in one of them, and had to do some brake work on one of them. So we mostly worked on the trucks over the weekend, but you know, it was nothing to be excited about, so I didn't really film it. But we're gonna, you know, keep at this, especially in the evenings like now. And I've still been doing a lot of towing, so I mean, between everything, it's been really busy. And I've spent, I think Friday night I towed just about all night, and Saturday night I went out once. You know, it's been rough trying to get any sleep here lately, but I'd rather be out, you know, working on this stuff. But you know, you got to do what you got to do. So anyway, appreciate everybody watching, and I will definitely keep you updated on this stuff. And until next time, bye.